And we continue Amud Yomi with Dirshu Gimel Amud Beis Miseches Berachos, an incredible Chazara. We'll try to stay along as far as we can. Gimel Amud Aleph, 2 lines from the bottom. Tanu Rabbanan. As we mentioned, we finished off the previous Amud with Rav Yossi meeting Eliyahu and Avi and learning that he should not have entered into a chorva. He should not have entered into a broken down building. Says the Gemara, what is the reason? For 3 reasons, one should not enter into chorva. Number 1, chashad. Number 1, because no one might suspect that he's meeting a zayna in such a building. Number 2, because it's a sakana, the building might fall in him further. And number 3, because of the shadim. Says the Gemara, now we're going to try to figure out why do we need 3 reasons. Once we know the reason of chashad of zenos, why do we need that reason? Why don't we just say because it might fall down on him? Answers the Gemara, bechadati. It's a new broken down building, and if there's really nothing to be concerned about. So why don't we say just because of mazikim shadim? Betray, says the Gemara, because he went in there with someone else, and two people shadim do not bother. Betray, says the Gemara, there's no chashad when there's 2 people. Says the Gemara, there is. Betray a priti. 2 people, if they're both prutim, then we still have to suspect that they might going to do an Aveira. On the second line of Gimel Beis Mine'am because of my fault, but take with chashad, why don't we say that the concern is of a chashad of znos, mazikin, or of a mazikin? Says the Gemara, so meaning now we figured out why we need each 3 independently. Now we're trying to figure out maybe 2 is enough. So why do we need the reason of Ma'apoilas? Why don't we just say chashad of mazikin? Answers the Gemara, in a case of betray, uksheri, in such a scenario, we still need to know the reason of Ma'apoilas and my fault. Because of the reason of mazikin, we take the why don't we just say the reason of zinos or my fall? It's a new rune that we're not afraid it's going to fall. Betray uksheri and 2 kosher people, and therefore there's no worry about chashad. We still shouldn't go in. Why? Because of the mazikin. Betray, says the Gemara, mazikin amilak. What do you mean? There's 2 people, then there's no mazikin either. Answers the Gemara, in their place, in a place that the shade and the mazikin are constantly commonly found, there's a concern even if 2 people enter. Or you can even tell me it's 1 person with a new rune. It's out in the fields. In such a scenario, there's no problem of chashad. Why? Because a woman doesn't normally found in the fields, and therefore there's no problem of zinos. But in such a place, misham mizikin ika, and that's why we need all 3 reasons of a chorva, being of it might fall down, being that there's a shade in mazikin there, and being that there's a chashad, we're worried that they might be going to do an avera. Continues the Gemara, Gimel Amud Beis, 8 lines down, the 2 dots, Tanu Rabbanan. Arba Mishmaris Havelayla, continuing on the theme of the Mishnah, which yesterday we learned the sheet of Rav Eliezer, the 3 Mishmaris into the light. Says Divrei Rabbi, there's 4 Mishmaris. Rav Nassan Amar, Shalish. So now we have to figure out where does Rav Nassan get 3, where does Rabbi get 4? My time the Rav Nassan, says the Gemara, V'yav Gidon Ish Asherita Gidon, and 100 men came with him. V'ksei Amachan at the edge of the Ken, Rosh Hashmuras Hatichayna, and they came at the beginning of the Ashmurais Hatichayna, the middle watch, and therefore, says Rav Nassan, Tana, middle means it's something before and afterwards, and that's where Rav Nassan gets 3, because obviously if there's a middle, there's 1 before, 1 after, therefore you have 3 watches. But Rebbe asked the Gemara, how does Rebbe explain this? Rebbe says it's 4. Answers the Gemara, one of the middle ones, there's 2 middle ones, and therefore it's not a kasha, says Rebbe. Rav Nassan says Rav Nassan doesn't say that there's 2 middle ones, says Mer Gevaldiks, that's the source of Rav Nassan. My time with the Rebbe. Where did Rebbe get 4? Amar Rav Zika, Amar Rav Ami, Amar Rav Shubin Levi. Because v'echad 1 pasuk says chasos leila akum leidis l'cha. In the middle of the night, I get up to thank you Hashem Moshe v'teisekecha. Because v'echad so he's David HaMelech is getting up at chatzos. And yet another pasuk says kidmei einai ashmurais. My eyes are preceded by the ashmurais in plural. So if he's getting up at chatzos and there's plural mishmaris before chatzos, must be, says Rabbi, arba mishmaris have 2 before chatzos and 2 after. Rav Nassan, how does he answer? So like Rav Yeshua on the last narrow line, it's not Rav Yeshua, Aimer, ad shalei shais. Says Rav Yeshua until the 3rd hour of the day, David HaMelech, shkiderech malachim nami b'shalei shais, that's when regular kings would get up. And David HaMelech is saying, Shis del Elya v'tarti di'imama, there were 6 hours before then, from Chatzais until Alois. V'tarti di'imama, and 2 hours till the regular kings get up. Avlei shtei mishmaris. In that time, in the time between Chatzais and the time that everyone else gets up, is the time period of shtei mishmaris, as the pasuk says, ashmarais, and therefore, in those 8 hours, there were 2 mishmaris, and that's how Rebbe learns, Rav Nosson explains that there were really 3 mishmaris. Continues the Gemara. Excuse me. And therefore, if there's not 16 hours in the night, there's 12 hours. So if there's 8 hours is 2 mishmaris, that means each mishmar is 4 hours. That's how Rav Nosson learns the 3 mishmaris in the night. Rav Ashi Amar. Rav Ashi, another reason is mishmara upalgana mishmar is karla. Mishmar and a half can be called a mishmar, and that's what Rav Nosson can explain that there's 3 mishmaris in the night. That's 6 hours. 8 hours is a mishmar in a half. Vama, and therefore 12 hours is the whole night. Vama Rav Zrika continues the Gemara, the third medium-sized line, Gimel Amid Beis. Amar Rav Ami, Amar Rav Shimon Levi. Ein Oimrim of Nea Meis El Dvarim Shal Meis. We're saying this because it's another statement of Rav Shimon Levi. Shouldn't say in front of the Meis El Dvarim Shal Meis. Amar Rav Abar kind of lo Amar El B'Divrei Taira. It's only referring to Divrei Taira, like L'Rush. You don't want the Meis to feel bad. The Nifter feels bad if you're sitting there saying Taira in front of the Meis. Aval Milu Dam L'Es L'Ba. You can say some things in front of a Meis. V'Kidam Amar Rav Abar kind of lo Amar El Afilu B'Divrei Taira. Kol Shkin Milu Dam. We should say nothing in front of the Meis. He asked the Gemara, did David HaMelech really get up at Chatzais? What do you mean? He got up earlier. I rose at the evening and cried out. So seemingly he got up even earlier. Me'orta in the night. He got up before Chatzais. How do we know the word Nefesh means night? As the delay wings, the blackness of the night and the darkness. Amar Rav Shua, Amar Rav Acha, Halchi Karmi Notabas, means Me'olam lo Avar Alai Chatzais Laila B'Shina. David HaMelech is saying that I never got to Chatzais sleeping. Rav Zera Amar, Ad Chatzais Laila Misnanin. It's true, but really at Chatzais he got up, meaning that until Chatzais he would doze, ksos like a horse, 16 nimin, sheetin, as we've seen. Chatzais he gets up like a lion. Rav Ashi Amar Ad Chatzais Enashaf. Rav Ashi Amar Chatzais Alayla Yosef Divrei Torah. Mikan ve'eluch b'shir v'tishbachis from Chatzais. He was Isaac with shears and tishbachis. V'neshef or two asked the Gemara Neshef Safru. But we know the word Neshef means morning. T'chsev v'yakum David mi Neshef early machras. And David hit them from the Neshef until the evening. So Neshef seemingly means morning. Ma'ilami Safra v'alelia. Answers Gemara loy mi orta v'ad orta means from night to night. Yachli lichta mi Nefesh v'ad haneshef. Oy me erev ad erev elam rava train nishri avid. There's 2 types of neshef. Neshef is lelia, vasi yamama. Neshef yamama, vasi lelia. The word neshef means that it departs, it passes by. So you could turn into the night, it could turn into the day. Says the Gemara, and with this we conclude. But David David really know when Chatzais was. Emas hash. Do we know Moshe Rabbeinu Levi Yad? Moshe Rabbeinu himself didn't know when Chatzais was. It said Chatzais like Chatzais and the Yotz B'Tach Mitzrayim. My Chatzais. Ilim Dar Malei Kush Baruch Hu Chatzais. If it means that Hashem say Chatzais, Mikas Veikel Kamishmaya. Could it be that Hashem was Mesubik when exactly Chatzais was? Elo, when you don't know what it means, Dar Malei L'Machar B'Chatzais. Hashem told Moshe Rabbeinu B'Chatzais. Also you and Moshe Rabbeinu himself said V'Amar Chatzais. Amasavglei. We see that Moshe Rabbeinu was a misopik when Chatzais was. David Aviyada answers the Gemara. Yes, you know why? Because David Simana Havali David has sin in David Ravacha Bar Vizna Rav Shimon Chasida Kinor Hayatoli Lamal Mitazal David the harp was hanging over the bed of David Hamelech L'Kiv Chagiach Chatzais Alayla. But Ruach Svain the northern one came in a Sheves by and it blew for him. Umenagim Elav and the harp played on its own. Miyad at that moment Ayim Vaisik B'Tayra Achiala Amura Shachar. That's how David Hamelech knew Chatzais and Moshe Rabbeinu did not know, as the harp told him. Meaning Hakadosh Baruch Hu gave him a siman when Chatzais was. Kim Shalom Amura Shachar when morning came. Nichzu Chachma Yisrael Atzlei the Chum came David Hamelech Amar Latzneinu Melech. Amar Yisrael Zichah Parnas. Klai Yisrael needs money. Amar Lam. Okay, look who's Parnas Zem Yisrael. Let them go and support each other. Amrullah, they said to him, you can't satisfy the lion with a little bit. Meaning Kaisel cannot support itself. So Amrullah, David Melech said, if that's true, we have to go, and we have to go fight a war to get disposal of water to feed Klai. So miyad, at that moment, what did David Melech do? To cancel the Achitophel and Nachum Sanhedrim, he asked the Sanhedrim, Shalom B'urim V'tumim. And then they went to war to feed Klai. So we'll pick up from here as we'll learn that how do we know that Achitophel, Sanhedrim, and Urim and Tumim are those entities, B'siyat Shmaya in the next Shir.